Let's make some donuts. We're gonna start with the donut batter, which is essentially just cake batter that we're gonna pipe into a donut pan. Here's how you do it. To a medium-sized mixing bowl, add 2 2/3 cup of all-purpose flour, 1 1/4 teaspoon of fine sea salt, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, and 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. Make sure you don't swap your baking soda for your baking powder. You really need to be sure that you get each one of those chemical leavening ingredient measurements right. That's a mouthful. Now you'll just whisk all of those dry ingredients together, and we're gonna move on to the wet ingredients. You'll add 1/3 cup of unsalted room temperature butter to a big bowl, and to that you're also gonna add 1/3 cup of canola oil. In goes 3/4 cup of granulated sugar, and now you're gonna grab your handheld mixer and you're gonna start mixing these up on medium-high speed. Mix for about 2 minutes or until it looks light, fluffy, and almost doubled in volume. Now you're gonna crack in 2 large eggs one at a time, mixing well after each addition. You'll also add 1 teaspoon of pure vanilla extract, mix that up, and now we're gonna go back to the dry ingredients, and you're also gonna need 1 1/4 cup of buttermilk. Now remember, anytime you're baking, it's best if your ingredients can be as close to room temperature as possible. This includes the buttermilk and those eggs we cracked in earlier. You'll alternate adding in your dry ingredients with your buttermilk. So here's how the order is gonna go. 1/3 of the dry ingredients, half of the buttermilk. Another 1/3 of the dry ingredients, the remaining half of your buttermilk, and last, you'll add in the last of the dry ingredients. Just mix all of this together on low, medium low, and do not be tempted to crank up the speed to high. You don't want to overdevelop the gluten. You want those donuts to bake up perfectly tender and deliciously soft. So that's it for the donut batter. Now we've got to get it into those cute little donut pans. Easiest way to get donut batter into a donut pan is to transfer all of the batter into a gallon-size Ziploc bag. Just get your best scooping spoon and add it all in there. Press all the air out of the bag, seal it shut, and you're just gonna twist it up just like you would a gigantic piping bag. Now, before you snip that bag, you need to make sure that your donut pans are ready to go. I'm gonna be working with 2 12-cavity standard donut baking pans. My pans are silicone, but if you have a metal baking pan, that'll totally work too. And if you can only find the donut pans with 6 cavities, that's totally fine. You're just gonna have to bake in a few extra rounds. Now you need to get your donut pans in position, and you can snip the end of the bag, and watch out, that batter is gonna come out fast. Now you're just gonna swirl and fill each one of those little donut cavities, and take care not to add too much batter, or when your donuts bake, they'll bake up one big puffy round and you won't have the hole in the center. You're gonna transfer those pans to a preheated 425 Fahrenheit oven, and you'll bake your donuts for just about 8 to 10 minutes. Once your donuts are perfectly baked, you're gonna pull them from the oven, and you can set them on a cooling rack for about 10 minutes. Then we're gonna turn those donuts over on the cooling rack for them to cool completely. We cannot add any fun toppings until they are totally cool to the touch and at room temperature. While the donuts are cooling, I'm gonna show you 4 really delicious ways to dress them up. We're gonna start with my kids' favorite, the chocolate glaze. To a small saucepan, you'll add 1/4 cup of milk, 3 tablespoons of unsalted butter, and 1 tablespoon of corn syrup. Just give that a stir over medium heat until the butter melts, and then you'll add in 1 1/2 cup of powdered sugar and 1/3 cup of unsweetened cocoa powder. Stir this until the sugar and the cocoa powder completely dissolve. At first, it's gonna look really lumpy and like it's never gonna smooth out. But as soon as that sugar heats up, it'll get nice and silky smooth. Don't worry about it. Then you'll turn off the heat, add in 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract, stir it, and that's your glaze. Number 2, we're gonna whip up a quick and easy vanilla glaze. For this recipe, you'll do 3 cups of powdered sugar in a large bowl, and then you're just gonna drizzle in about 6 tablespoons of milk. Give that a really good whisk, and as soon as everything's looking smooth, we're gonna test for consistency. If you wanna glaze the whole donut, you're gonna want a nice thin vanilla glaze. But if you want it to be opaque and dripping off the top, you're gonna wanna thicken that glaze up just a little bit. If you wanna get your glaze to a thicker consistency where it sits on top of the donut nice and opaque, what you're gonna do is you're gonna add an additional spoonful of powdered sugar, whisking after each addition until you reach the desired consistency. What I'm looking for when I want a nice thick white glaze is a drizzle that will lay on top of itself for about 3 seconds and doesn't immediately melt right back in to the rest of the glaze. Next, the easiest of them all, who doesn't love a donut completely coated in powdered sugar? So for this, you're gonna have about 3 cups of powdered sugar. Just dump that as messily as you can into a Ziploc bag. Is messily a word? Is messy? Is messy? Messy. It's fine. So you'll dump that into the bag and then you'll just add your, no, we're not there yet. Okay. And now for my all-time favorite, the cinnamon sugar donut. For a cinnamon sugar donut, what you need to do is add about a 1/2 cup of unsalted butter to a microwave safe bowl, cover it with plastic wrap so it doesn't explode in your microwave, and you're gonna microwave for about 30 seconds or until melted. Then for the cinnamon sugar, you're gonna add 1 cup of granulated sugar to a small bowl, along with 1½ teaspoon of ground cinnamon. Stir that up until it looks evenly mixed, and that's all there is to it. Now, if you swoon for cinnamon sugar too, you're also gonna wanna check out our cinnamon sugar donut cake muffins. They're pretty amazing, and we'll link to them right here. Now, each one of these toppings is gonna make enough to cover 24 to 30 donuts. So if you're wanting to do a variety like we're about to do, just know you're gonna have some glazes and some sugar left over. Now, make sure that you're not adding any toppings to your donuts until they are entirely and completely cooled. We're gonna bring in that chocolate glaze first. You're just gonna take your donut, turn it upside down, dip half of it in the glaze, and then you'll pop it on a piece of a wax paper or parchment paper, glaze side up. It doesn't take long for the top of that chocolate glaze to set. So if you're gonna add sprinkles, you're gonna wanna stop every 4 to 6 donuts or so and add that topping to the glaze. Now we're gonna repeat the exact same process with the vanilla glaze. You're just gonna dip it, give it a nice little yo-yo or two, and then you'll pop it on a sheet of wax paper or parchment paper. Same rule applies to adding the sprinkles. Okay, the powdered sugar, you probably don't even need to see this. All you gotta do is add the donuts to the bag, make sure you leave a little air in there and give it a really gentle shake. As soon as you open up the bag, they're gonna be perfectly coated and looking real irresistible. For the cinnamon sugar, you can use the wet hand, dry hand technique, or you can bring in some forks. What you're gonna do is you're gonna drop a donut and completely submerge it in the butter. No wonder it's my favorite. As soon as that donut is soaked, you will remove it from the butter and you will immediately place it in the cinnamon sugar mix. Make sure that it is completely and fully coated in the cinnamon sugar, and you're done. There are a kabillion reasons for you to go make these baked donuts right now. Number 1 being baked, not fried. Number 2, the kids love them. Number 3, they're make ahead. Number 4, they're delicious, and the list goes on.